If you feel like you're constantly behind, you're never going to catch up, you're being very, very hard on yourself, this is for you. First and foremost, let me just say, this is definitely not motivational, but get used to this feeling. Just sit in it, rub it all over your skin, get comfortable with it. And I don't mean that in a discouraging way, but if you're running after something big, if you have huge goals, this is a feeling we have to get comfortable with. Because the truth is, there's nowhere to arrive to. It's not like when we accomplish this one goal, there's not going to be another one. You know what I mean? So one, and get used to it. Next, something that's been on my mind a lot lately is how long things actually take. I've kept my goals since I think 2014. I have them all in a file. I know, nerdy. But it's wild that if I look back, there's several things on my goal list back then that I'm just now accomplishing. And I'd set it for my goal for the year. Now you can look at that and be like, man, Heather, you're a freaking failure. Or it's evidence that things take so much longer than you think. I recently started doing pull-ups for the first time without any kind of assistance. I've been working on that on and off for a few years. And in July, I decided to consistently work on it every single day. And 6 months later, I'm able to do a few. My goal was to do it in 8 weeks when I started in July. You see how long it took me. Was it a failure, or does it just take longer than you think? If you have not read The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, I highly recommend it. It has a lot of really great wisdom about how long things actually take. And one of the quotes in there is he said, in the moment, these steps seem so insignificant, but compounded over time, they will produce massive results. And we live in a dopamine-filled world where if you're not producing results like this, the narrative is that you're doing something wrong without understanding that the natural law in this world is a time to sow and a time to reap. And you compound that with AI and technology of how fast things are produced. If you are a creator, there's no way you're going to be able to keep up with technology. You're not going to be able to produce at the same speed. It's not going to be as flashy. Again, get comfortable with this idea. This is not an idea that is discouraging. It's actually really awesome because there's a missed opportunity here for us as creators. In a world that is oversaturated and filled with dopamine, there is a huge need and a huge hunger for depth, for authenticity, for humanity, for something that touches a part of us that is real and honest. So you may not be able to produce at the rate that AI and tech can produce, but when you get connected with yourself, you can start producing work that actually touches people on a very human level. Now, what that requires is a constant reinvestment back into yourself. I get really busy and forget to stop and take time to refuel. I mean, this can take on many forms. Of course, there's exercise, sleep, healthy habits, and so forth, but also to refueling back, reading the right books and podcasts and sitting and soaking up as someone to receive as opposed to somebody who's always giving. I know we all know what I'm talking about, but when we can maintain that healthy mindset and these healthy habits, we're set up for long-term success. I'm training again for another marathon, and it's wild how much pacing and nutrition comes in to me succeeding doing those 26 miles. I have a time limit goal this time around, which means I'm getting way more intentional with my pace and refueling at certain miles. When I first started running, I thought it was all just like grit and willpower. And then when I started getting really serious about it and actually doing longer runs, I realized that some of the non-sexy stuff, some of the kind of boring practices are really what affected my run. I'm getting so old, y'all. Every time I start doing like reels and writing content, I realize how old I'm sounding. I'm like, get some sleep, have a schedule. But it's true. I just wanted to encourage you. I know it's the end of the year, just to give yourself some freaking grace. Things take so much longer than we think. It's so important that we keep a natural and healthy pace to the work that we're doing. And it does not mean that you're going to be left behind because, again, even though there is just an insane amount of output nowadays, especially in media, I'm telling you, humans will always remain the same. And we're looking for something that touches our heart, that moves our spirit, something that we can see ourselves in. So if you could only produce once a week, once a month, whatever, as long as you can make that as honest and as real and as human as possible, you are going to find yourself. You will succeed. Your work will take you somewhere. We have to trust that. If you're watching on YouTube, please drop me a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts around this topic. If you're watching or listening on iTunes, Spotify, please copy this link, share it with a friend who may need some encouragement at the end of the year. I love you guys. In your corner. We'll see you soon.